Roosevelt is the
Martin,
Greg,
are you ready to start a show?
I am.
We're here, and it's, you know what? This is
So we are.
This is low budget productions, but this is the way we like to do it.
Low budget
No reason
productions,
why we
high budget content.
High concept, low budget.
There we go.
That is it. And somewhere we're right.
When we go low, we go high.
We go.
We do both. We go low. And then
We go low. We stay low.
stay low.
Stay low. It's safe. Keep your head down. It's safe. So, Martin,
What do you have for us today,
oh, my
Gregory?
Goodness. Oh, goodness. Well, you know, you can tell that you knew it was going to be good when I said, Martin, and I called you up and said, sex and cigarettes? And you said, what? And who is this? Really? And I said,
no, mother.
no, mother. What I have discovered in my perusing the attics and basements of America is that there are a multitude of stories out there that get missed every second of the day, and I refuse to let any go by. There are some, probably maybe this one, sex and cigarettes. I'm just going to keep saying it because it has such a great sound to
It probably has good SEO value too, right?
That's right.
So let's just keep saying sex and cigarettes.
How many-
Sex and cigarettes.
Sex and cigarettes. That's
The
right.
algorithms are eating it up.
You think I should tag this with SEX? I never thought of that. That's a great idea.
There you go.
It's a
Problem solved.
But
And now-
so here I am. I'm digging through
Sure.
this palatial home that has been abandoned, and
in what township?
in what township? Let us say it is the northwestern hills of Connecticut.
Okay.
To protect, we may be protecting somebody here.
Okay.
But I don't think
So
they're-
Northwest Hills of Connecticut is
The Northwest-
broad
the
enough
hills-
that we're probably not revealing the identity.
I mean, you know, the
Okay.
northwestern hills of Connecticut are not so secretive that we're talking like Bohemian Grove secret. Okay,
Okay.
we're talking. This is just normal. Where you have the elite folks of New York have their summer homes in northwestern Connecticut, and I believe this was one of them.
Okay.
I mean, it really was. There was quite a palatial view. It was a beautiful home, but again, everything is being tossed because it's time to move on. It's time to help people get to the next chapter. I'm not the one that's saying, Carolyn, go into the light. I'm saying, maybe this should go in the dumpster, maybe this should not go in the dumpster.
Okay.
So I happen to find what you have there in front of you right there, which is enough to say, wait, stop, there's a story here. So let's see just let the camera
Look at what it is.
Let the camera see
This was a magazine. They used to make magazines like this
Yeah, give us
in America.
a shot of that.
This is called Picture Life. Okay,
Picture Life.
10 cents. People in action, and this is the issue from April of 1954.
And
It's a little pocket
It's
magazine.
a little pocket. I would call it pocket pulp.
Pocket pulp,
'cause
sure.
It's easy to produce.
very pulpy.
It's salacious.
Yes.
Because we have Marilyn Monroe. on
We've
the
got an
cover.
illustration of Marilyn Monroe,
Yep.
and it looks like a painting taken from a photograph, and the fonts in Picture Life are reminiscent of the fonts that I think of when I think of pulp fiction novels and stuff.
Yeah.
All caps.
Right.
Big, hard to miss.
This is one of those corner newsstands,
Yeah.
Martin, where you're just kind of in the daily paper, and then you're going, the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times.
Ooh, Picture Life.
Picture Life.
And for 10 cents, even in
For 10 cents, and with Marilyn
1954,
Monroe on the cover. And this
how can you go wrong?
And it's right. You're wearing your hat. You got your trench coat on.
Yep.
You're getting ready to go to the office, and it's 1954.
Okay.
And you're like, what? What have I done?
Well,
what am I doing?
we have two cover stories here.
Yeah.
How does Monroe fit into Bloomers?
Whoa.
And
Whoa.
that question's been gnawing away at me for decades. How did she fit into Bloom? Right, and now they're going to answer that.
If that isn't a grabber,
Yeah.
sex and cigarettes.
Okay, so the other exclusive doctor's report: cigarettes and your sexual behavior. Oh my God!
So flip it open and just read the first few lines of that article, because I've got to know.
That's
Martin,
we're going to skip. This is so good. We're going to skip Marilyn Monroe and her bloomer crisis
That's right.
and her challenges. We're just going to go right to this. Okay.
Right to the
So,
sex.
because I looked at some of the other articles, there's one about a Mexican town that literally crucifies someone every Easter on Good Friday, in the Easter season on Good Friday.
Oh.
They've been doing, it's a tradition. I forgot the name of the town and the festival, but they don't kill the people, but they kind of crucify them. We covered this. We covered Ike's
Wow.
very boring cabinet.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
these are the stories in here, but we're going to eschew all of that.
Right.
Because we have cigarettes and your sexual behavior. Okay.
Hey, not mine.
Okay, I'm going to use
Yeah, right. You gotta get. Well, we want
magnifying glass.
We want to get close in on this, Martin.
Because I have my contact
Get as close
lenses
to
in.
get as close to the
Okay, here
sex
we
as
go.
you can.
Okay, this is too funny. Every time I read it. Okay. After smearing gummy cigarettes on shaved backs of mice, 2 St. Louis doctors stood aside, watched malignant cancer sprout forth on 44% of the animals. Okay, right there.
All right.
Okay.
First
Gummies.
question. Right. First question.
On-
Where do I get these gummy cigarettes?
Yes, exactly.
They sound delicious.
You know.
I mean, forget vaping, forget
Right.
chaw.
Yeah.
I want
cigarettes.
gummy nicotine.
You got it. Okay, and they stood back and watched. They make this sound like this happened like instantly. Like I said, shaved the mice, spread the gummy. Oh, look at that! On 44% of them, they had 100. 44 of them started sprouting malignant cancers, and they just watched it. This is science in America.
What poor animal psych
I don't know.
major
Okay.
finally got to shave mice's backs?
I don't know. Yeah, that's certainly a graduate student. That's not the doctoral
do you think?
student.
Wait a second. Do you think
who
it's
did
possible that the female mouse said to the male mouse, "Hey, buddy, shave your back if you want to my gummy
that. I
cigarettes"?
suppose.
Anyway.
It could be. That could be how it happened. All right. Here's a quote. "This proves conclusively," said doctors Ernest Widener and Evarts A. Graham, quote, "that there is something in cigarette smoke which can produce cancer." So, all right, far be it from me to defend the tobacco companies.
That was a stretch.
All right, but if this was the evidence that was offered, I could see where maybe they said, I think you guys are lying. Now, of course, I'm against tobacco, and we know more evidence has come. But
Don't smoke, kids.
Right.
Don't.
But if that's where
smoke.
it started.
Don't smoke. We stay low.
Okay. All right. Where are we now? Where are we picking?
Okay. Well, basically, what we've got this magazine, this little pulpy magazine that is probably made probably printed in the thousands, right?
Yeah.
Sitting in every New York City newspaper stand,
Sure.
probably in the lobby of so many of these large skyscrapers in the 1950s.
Sure. Maybe in Chicago too.
Chicago, right? Yeah.
L.A. Maybe.
Hey, you know what? And you've got this salacious title, and but then you've got a good story. Kind of like Playboy. I mean, sure, the women are nice, but the articles. Someone spent some real time here, and it looks like somebody spent some real time on this article talking to doctors who are willing to stretch their credulity and say, I think maybe cigarettes cause cancer. Now, I don't know if they do. But maybe they do. Now, this is 1954, so what do they know?
It seems that they get off of that topic. They back away from the health issues of cigarettes right away, and they sort of pivot to something else that's interesting, that is some sort of correlation between cigarettes and our behavior.
So they have another doctor's... What's the other doctor you grab that line for me?
All right, so there's an East Coast psychologist. That's how he's identified. Dr. Sabert Pachescu.
Yeah.
Dr. Sabert, an East Coast psychologist. That's just loaded, with judgment. I don't know.
We don't care about those nuts that have rolled off the end of the country to California, but...
what does Dr. Pachescu have to say about this? He's not so concerned about the cancer issues. He's on another track.
No, he's going for the mind-body experience here, just the mind. Let's see.
Well, shall we read on?
What does he have to say? Because it's his words. He's a doctor. He should know.
So now back to the article.
Big tobacco.
Refusing to panic, cigarette manufacturers sat down. Let me take this again. Refusing to panic, cigarette manufacturers sat behind nicotine curtain of silence as if they knew, quote, real reason why it would take more than the threat. It looks like, as I'm reading this, they're missing articles in this. Yeah. I wonder if they had limited space, because I have not encountered an article yet, and it's throwing me off my reading game.
Martin, I got to tell you, you're probably the first person, even though this piece is over 75 years old, you're the first person to have ever read. I'm sorry. You're the second person to have ever read these words.
Yeah, so and that you would being the first. Okay, all right.
No. It's our doctor. We'll find out.
All right. So refusing to panic, cigarette manufacturers sat behind nicotine curtain of silence as if they knew, quote, real reason why it would take more than threat of lung cancer to frighten American smokers. One East Coast psychologist had a good idea of what that real reason was. Dr. Sabert Pascescu thought he saw a connection between cigarette smoking and sexual behavior.
What was his quote?
Quote, merely sucking a cigarette with the lips is sexually stimulating. Dr. Pasescu. How does he say his name?
It's kind of like the was maybe the dictator from
I know.
what country? Ceausescu. So it's Brzezinski.
Pasescu. Okay, I'll try not to ruin the flow.
It's a nice.
Dr. Pasescu observed, quote, oh, this is great. Wetness of the cigarette tip, action of the smoke on the mouth, nasal passages, and lung nerve endings give erotic feelings to every smoker, however subconscious the feelings might be. We can tell a good deal about a person's sex habits by the way he or she smokes, the doctor said. Ever notice how many people dislike smoking in the dark? They like to see the smoke. These may be the same people who like to have sexual relations in the daytime. See results of their action. You've probably noticed smokers who accumulate a long ash. We can assume some of these people delay orgasm and intercourse to increase pleasure. We can assume.
Well,
we can assume a lot of things.
We can assume a lot of things. I mean, hey, if you can, not only can you leave your hat on, you can leave the light on. So I guess that's interesting. There's real. So we have this doctor.
Silly.
It's got an official report. This is heavy hitting reporting, science based. You've got your experts. You've got your psychologist.
Yeah.
So what happens after that? Well. Some good friend of our Dr. Brzezinski manages to, happens to buy this piece of salacious, because he was just curious, he just wanted to read it for the article.
He was reading probably about the crucifixion reenactments in Mexico and stumbled across this.
Or Marilyn Monroe's
her bloomer problem.
Her bloomer issues. So right away I found connected in this same envelope a letter.
Okay, so you found this in the house,
right?
In an envelope.
Found this in the house.
This is the primary source.
Yeah.
Okay, but you also found a letter. Okay.
So this doctor, this good doctor, and I'm sure he is a good doctor. He has read this and seen his quote and wondered, "Whoa! I did not." He is mad. And what does he do? He goes right to his lawyer and he writes a letter and says, I did not say this. This is not right. I want to. And so on the.
You know what? Good for him.
Yeah.
All right.
Right.
All right. So, all right. Let's hear his letter. Oh, my God.
So it's like, so his lawyer on the 27th of 1954, April 27th, go ahead and read the letter that his lawyer writes back to him.
Okay. Martin B. Stetcher, attorney at law. Okay. April 27th, 1954. Okay. Dear Sabe, that's to the doctor.
Saber.
In accordance with our conversation, I enclose herewith 2 copies of the article in Picture Life, which you referred to me. I have not as of yet made any attempt to contact the publishers of the magazine, so I am awaiting a report from my bank on their financial responsibility. Then I received that information. When I received, that information, I shall be in a better position to judge the procedure which should be taken. Your friend, Mr. Perlman, called me and said he will deliver the statement to you on Saturday when he sees you. If he does, please forward it to me. Please give my regards to Ellie. Sincerely yours, I guess, Martin.
The family friend attorney who who's probably got this letter going. Oh, this poor guy.
Yeah.
This poor guy. He got caught. He got caught in a quick interview and doesn't realize he was being
happened. Yeah.
Something happened. So
I might note that the phone number listed on the upper right is Murray Hill 2.
Murray Hill 2.
3334. Which I love in the old letters how everything, the nomenclature, we got the attorney upper left, his address down a little bit to the right, the date below that on the right, but then the heading, like 5 inches down on the left. Like nobody formats letters like these anymore.
Well,
the little enclosures. It's a treasure.
It is a treasure. It is.
All right. So there's more. Now, there more? Are there more correspondences to this?
Now our good doctor, and he is a good doctor. Okay. We do not besmirch the doctor for what he's done.
The good name of Pat.
We are only making light of the fact that he got himself into a position that he wants to extricate himself from, and he never actually meant to be in that position. So
Sure.
his next thought is, you know what? I'm going to write my buddies at the American Psychological Association.
He wants to get out in front of it.
He wants to get out in front, right? Exactly.
Yeah,
But he's
yeah.
also realizing he's got a lawsuit coming, and it might cost some
coin.
Some coin.
Yeah, yeah.
So he
More
writes,
than the 10 cents.
He writes to
Amazing.
Carl Rush Jr., the executive assistant at the American Psychological Association in Washington. Now we go from New York to Washington.
Okay.
And he says, "Dear Mr. Rush, I've become involved in an unfortunate situation. Dr. Rollo may have advised me to inform you. Oh, Dr. Rollo has advised me to inform you of the details. On December 19th, 1953, before this magazine was published, I ran into a friend of mine on the street who was with a friend of his named Bruce Friedman." Friend of a friend. There's your mistake. "I was told that Bruce Friedman was a writer currently working on a magazine story dealing with cigarette smoking and sexuality. I was asked if I had any relevant ideas. For approximately 15 minutes, I speculated out loud about possible relationships between the two." I mean, I hope he didn't do this on Fifth Avenue, because, if you're talking about the eroticism of a wet cigarette and what you're doing with it in your mouth and a long ash, I'm sorry, you're going to get a crowd, and they're going to want to know.
Would it have been better if they went to the automat, maybe
Yeah,
over
right.
a cup of coffee and a tuna
the
salad sandwich?
Maybe
Okay.
the Schraffs in
Maybe
the back
Schraff-
corner.
Okay,
Yeah,
in
exactly.
the Schraffs. Okay.
The,
Much more discreet, less likely
so
to
he-
draw attention to themselves. I see your point.
He
Okay.
speculated out loud, and that was all the contact I ever had with Bruce Friedman. Now, on January 7th, 1954, a month later, I received a check for $25 from the magazine management company, 270 Park Avenue, New York, New York. No letter accompanied the check, but it did have written on it, "Sex and Cigarettes." And
On the check?
and the check detected sex and cigarettes. And then in parentheses he says, "Incidentally, my name was spelled Basescu, obviously misspelled, on the check. I phoned my friend and asked him if he knew anything about the check. He told me that Friedman had sold the story and that he, my friend, had told Friedman that since he sold it, he ought to send me something. Then I cashed the check. I cashed the check and heard nothing more about the story until April 10th, after this had been published. On April 10th, my friend visited my home. Again, this friend, it's not in quotations, but it probably should be. My friend visited my home for the last time, probably, and brought with him the April issue of Picture Life, which
Fresh
I
off the
enclosed,
presses.
and there it is.
There it is. This is the exhibit.
Exhibit A.
This is the one. This was touched by the friend of Bruce Friedman.
That's right. Yeah.
Wasn't that one of the editors or writers for Playboy, Bruce Friedman? Sounds so familiar.
All
right.
There's a,
Okay.
and again,
But look at this. It
unfortunately,
was touched by Bruce Friedman's friend. Okay.
It's-
This was bought on the day it hit the stand.
Yeah, right.
I almost feel like I should be wearing gloves for this. Don't
Well,
you?
for
For a lot of
and
reasons.
again-
For a lot of
And again, don't kill the messenger. But his friend brought it over and said, "Hey, it's like, what?
Here's your complimentary.
You know,
here's your complimentary.
His friend could have just said, "Oops, maybe I won't," and maybe it's not uncommon for psychiatrists to receive checks that just say for sex and cigarettes.
Yeah.
I think I would have had to explain that to my wife. I know.
Okay.
So anyway, so basically, on whose staff Bruce Friedman is associate editor. So Bruce works for that magazine. Okay. Underlined. I was shocked at the article. I had no idea I was to be referred to in any way, nor would I have agreed, if asked, to lend professional sanction to such an article appearing in such a magazine. But most outrageous of all is the fact that I was quoted as saying things which, 1, I never said, 2, were never even mentioned to me or in my presence, and 3, I disagree with. Furthermore, with regard to the topics I did mention, I am frequently misquoted in such a way as to change the meaning of what I said. I immediately contacted my lawyer, that was what you just read, with the purpose of bringing suit against those responsible for the article. After investigating the circumstances surrounding the publication, he concludes that 1, there is a definite basis for legal action. 2, there is very good chance of winning the case. 3, the award may be anything from 6 cents to $10,000. Because of the last mentioned, he could not undertake the case on contingency. Contingency? No way. Basis, but only for a fee. Oh. The work involved is considerable, and the fee would be beyond my means. Uh-oh, it looks like he's asking for something here. I have written to you about this whole thing for 3 principal reasons. I think such journalistic practices should be brought to the attention of the association. I want to go on record as to the nature of my involvement in this situation in order to protect my professional standing. I would like your advice as to the importance of instituting legal action, in view of the financial gamble involved. Please feel free to communicate with me in regard to any reactions you have to this sad story.
You know what we're looking at here? We're looking at what would become commonplace today,
Right.
and for decades, on the History Channel and the Discovery Channel. Like, let's get a scientist.
Let's get
him down. Let's ask him leading questions, and if they don't give us
Right.
the answers we want, we'll just edit it so it sounds like, yes, aliens did invent the dinosaurs in the pyramids or something stupid.
Obama did see aliens.
Yeah.
He was not talking about the ones that were so worried about the border over. No, he was talking about the beep boop ones. So we're
back to Martin Stetcher.
And what's the date on? He's got a letter back from his
April
lawyer.
29th, 1954.
So he's
It's
obviously
like different stationery though too,
Well-
and
you know why? It may be better stationary because he's obviously paid a little bit of money in retainer fees to get this response.
Look at
So
that.
what does it say, Martin?
Dear Save. Okay. I received this morning copies of Dun & Bradstreet reports concerning Zenith Publishing Corporation, a corporation organized under the laws of the state of New York, and Martin Goodman and Gene Goodman, partners doing business as Magazine Management Co. From these reports, it appears that Zenith Publishing Corp. is a shell of a corporation having no real substance and merely being a conduit in the publication of that sterling bit of literature which you left with me.
Oh boy.
I detect a note of sarcasm there. I don't know. I could be wrong. I doubt that it had any assets, and I doubt that a judgment against Zenith would have any value. Martin Goodman and Gene Goodman are a partnership known as Magazine Management Company and appear to be in a somewhat different category. I gather from these reports that Magazine Management Company supplies Zenith and many other magazine corporations with their needs, such as articles, stories, pictures, photographs, whatever physical equipment and actual cash these these individual magazine corporations require. I would guess that each of the publishing corporations in turn is required to pay over to the partnership for services and materials rendered, practically all of its income, so that no profit is ever shown. My offhand impression is that this structure is intended more for tax purposes, to avoid dual taxation, than it is to avoid the possibility of libel actions. This conclusion is borne out by the fact that Martin Goodman's name appears on the masthead of the magazine as publisher. The only financial information that is available concerning the partnership is a report made by a secretary or bookkeeper of this partnership in the summer of 1953 that the partnership had a net worth exceeding $1 million.
Whoa.
I wish to emphasize, however, that at no time has this been verified or is verifiable as reference having been declined, balance sheets having been declined, etc. Goodman and certain of his magazines have a history of misrepresentation, which is a public record. It appears that prior to August 1947, Mr. and Mrs. Goodman and 12 of their corporations published condensations of books at prices far below the original publishing cost and offered these books to the public under circumstances which made it appear that the condensations were not condensations at all, but were complete copies.
Whoa.
The Federal Trade Commission order prohibited such practices after Goodman et al. In effect admitted all of the charges. I have received a copy of your letter to Mr. Rush, and I shall be interested in knowing his opinion. As I told you when you were in my office, if it is important to your professional standing that action for libel be brought against the publishers of this magazine, you can be sure that I will go and do so, and that the other matters will be secondary. In any event, I shall refrain from contacting the publishers until I have received Mr. Perlman's statement. Sincerely, Marty.
So the good friend lawyer gives him the true end, but also still kind of gives him the hope that there might be a payday at the end of this, but not likely.
Really. But I like it's moving fast. It's still April.
Yeah,
April 29th.
still-
This came out, you know what, April April, was it
So
first? April 10th or
that probably
something?
came out in maybe January, February, something like that. And so this all
No,
happened very fast.
it's the April 4th.
It is the April 4th. Oh, okay. All right. So, so by the end of the month, he's already written to the executive assistant at the American Psychological Association that's on the 27th. Sure. And now, on the 11th, less than 2 weeks, he's heard back from the American Psychological Association.
What do they have to say?
So this is moving fast. They said, Dr. Siebert Bacescu, dear Dr. Bacescu, your letter of April 27th strikes me as another illustration of a growing problem in our society, namely the damage caused by the irresponsibility of some members of the press. I have had similar experiences with writers and have heard stories like yours from other APA members. I frankly don't know how to proceed, but something certainly should be done about these undesirable characters who regularly misquote and distort in the interest of sensationalism. In part, this is an indictment of our whole journalistic profession, but I feel that it is about time that someone examined the practice of such people and took steps to control their activities.
Hear, hear.
Obviously never heard of Fox News.
Okay.
So I also feel that the legitimate members of the Fourth Estate are equally concerned about the practices of members of their own group, but as yet they have done very little about it. There is no question that you have been damaged by this article, although the extent of such damage is not likely to be great in view of the limited circulation of this publication. Fortunately, this is not the kind of thing that will be preserved for posterity in libraries, etc.
Is he thinking that maybe like university deans and presidents probably aren't reading and may not be aware of the alleged remarks by the good doctor? Is that what he's saying? Don't worry.
I want to apologize to the doctor's family now because, of course, this is wrong because I have a copy of it almost 50, 60 years later.
But we're not making 10-year decisions.
70 years later.
Are we on this man?
That's right. And I am not a colleague. So, but still, I feel sure that you have cause for suit. If seen by your colleagues, which is not too likely, such an article would definitely influence your reputation. As you well know, even the publication of refutation would not remove the bad publicity you have received.
I'm thinking two things. I'm thinking, one, right, his colleagues, aren't reading this, and that only by bringing their attention to it is he going to embarrass himself. However, the other thing is, his colleagues are reading it, but they do not want to go public to admit that they read such trash.
Exactly,
He's
right.
Probably saying.
Right. Who of your colleagues are going to get on the stand and go, I've read that horrible article, and her bloomers do fit. Yeah. I mean, I'm sorry, the sex, never mind. So you, on the other hand, there are several aspects of this affair which prompt me to think that legal action might not be advisable. I'm not at all sure that you would win your case. If you really had an airtight case, your lawyer would probably accept the case on a contingency basis. You did cash the check, which might...
Reminders, right, at some point.
Which might be construed by the courts as a release for publication. Which it most certainly is. Or at least in trade for sex and cigarettes. So let's see. This isn't always true, nor is it a complete release, but it is worth considering. Your name is misspelled in the article and on the check, so that the publishers might claim that you had not been damaged. Who? Bacescu? We weren't talking about you. Let's see. So then, too, I have a vague feeling, unsupported by evidence, that the court would sort of lean in the direction of the publisher, particularly since the burden of proof is upon you. In short, I have a hunch that you might be better off to drop the issue and try to forget it like a bad dream. I love that from the association.
Right. It always, of the American Psychiatric Association, it always goes back to the dreams.
It goes back to the dreams, yes, Freud, that's right. Like Freud, a bad dream.
Freud says, here, I am there to that, yeah.
He's actually is he going to charge him for an hour's worth of therapy time here? Yeah. You might get involved in an expensive, prolonged case with no assurance that your damages will be covered. I do have one positive suggestion, though, however. with your permission, we will call this matter to the attention of the editor and publisher of the magazine. Actually, this is bad publicity for psychology, as well as for you, and APA should communicate its dissatisfaction to the responsible people. Let me know if you wish us to do so, and also if there is anything further we can do. Okay, and that was
This
Carl,
was an era, I
Rush.
think, when people had more time on their hands, professionally and otherwise. Okay.
So I'll let you read the last letter that we have. Again, closure.
And this closes this whole sordid affair.
It's not the perfect closure, but it's a closure. Go ahead and read that. This is from the doctor.
It's from the doctor to Carl H. Rush, Jr. Dear Mr. Rush, thank you for your letter of May 11th. You certainly have my permission to get in touch, to get in tough. It says here, maybe you meant touch. Get in touch with the editor and publisher of the magazine.
Freudian slip from a doctor?
I know, receiving a copy of your communication with them. As yet, my lawyer and I haven't decided definitely what to do about legal action. I will let you know if anything further develops. Sincerely, Sabert Basquescu.
Not the guy that wrote the article, but the guy whose name you just mentioned.
Right.
Not the guy who,
This is May 25th,
commented on the
1954.
Wow.
Just about
So that's
9 years before I would come in.
Martin, that is our story.
Wow.
That is, again,
The whole journey.
again, this is, like we often talk about, the media items that we find, and I say media items, I mean the items of recorded media that we are so fortunate to be able to share on this podcast because they can still be played and they can still be, and even though now we're seeing with everything going on with the Epstein files, that even emails have a longevity to them, and somewhat of a verifiability.
Wait, you don't mean email? You mean snail mail?
No.
You
I'm
mean
talking
emails?
about, I'm talking about even still emails, but even better. We have the actual primary source. We have the physical paper.
Ephemera, yeah.
And that is the joy of digging in the past. And again, not airing out the poor doctor's dirty laundry, or his sex, or his cigarettes, but the idea that, this was a thing. These kinds of behaviors of the media, of the press, of publications, has gone on as long as they've existed. We're talking those sex and cigarettes hieroglyphs that really didn't really do good to Ramses the second, because what he said about sex and cigarettes, well, we all know what Ramses led his name to. But anyway,
okay.
So
You've been waiting all episode to work that in, haven't you? I got you.
Sorry, it's raining out.
I'm with you.
I'm with you. It's raining out, Martin. So all I'm thinking of is rubbers. But So anyway, on that note,
if I may, I'd love to borrow this for, I don't know, a couple of weeks. I'd love to really give it the close examination that it deserves.
Spring is very much around the corner, and bloomers, whether they be flowers or women's foundations, are worth considering. Consider the lilies at least, if not Marilyn's bloomers.
Fair enough.
Martin, thank you so much for this episode.
Oh, my pleasure.
And we thank you for listening.
Yes.
And hopefully for watching, because we're going to have some video of this as well, hopefully.
Yeah.
And we'll see you next time on Stories from the Attic. Now, thank you, Martin. You're awesome.
Okay.
President Roosevelt is the